welcome back to the second episode of Inside First. I'm Thomas.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Nick.
And today we have a lot to discuss. We're currently recording this right after the FRC teaser was dropped. Really cool. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really excited. There's a lot of hints from it we can talk about. So, Luke, you want to lead it off?
So, about what? Predictions or
Mm-hmm.
something
Yeah,
like that? So
like what you think the game will be.
I have my own theory. I think there's going to be two main zones to the field. One of those being the safe zone, the other one being what I'm going to call the poison zone until, if we ever get a real name, if that's even what it is. So the safe zone is where you actually deposit the game pieces, and the poison zone is where you get them. And basically, every robot has an allocated amount of time that they're allowed to be in the poison zone. And then once that time is up, it'll either be something like you get disabled, or you just get points deducted, or you get penalties, or something like that once your health or your time runs out.
Now, Luke, do you think that the poison zones will like swap mid-game, or do you think they'll be set? Like this year, like you know how the Red Alliance and Blue Alliance have like their own scales or switches, but like in between games it would flip. So like, do you think like poison could like be on opposite sides, or like
Sure.
different quadrants, or do you think it'll switch over like mid-game?
Based on the fact that it's all centered around this space station, I think it will be stationary.
Okay.
Because like my vision is there's gonna be some kind of element on the field, like maybe a Steamworks-esque
like the
tower, something like that, where you'll actually deposit the pieces, whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll be a more stationary thing.
See, Nick, I'll bring this point to you. Do you think that they'll bring back the human player or something similar for this year?
Now, watching the stream about 3 minutes ago, Frank Merrick said that they're going to have a unique feature again, like they had in the previous years, in the games previous, such as Recycle Rush being, split down the middle. Steamworks, human player on the field. Power up is you're scoring points by time. So I don't really think they're gonna return the human player to the field.
Yeah,
that close of a time period. I think they need to kind of like let it die
And that kind of comes
until
back to
everyone
my point about the
forgets about
restricted.
it.
Sorry, that comes back to my point about the restricted zones. That's something they have not done before. And that would be definitely a new aspect to the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's really cool. Also, what I was thinking in the video, there's the scene where the station closes off. I'm wondering if there's going to be a zone for endgame that if you're not in there, kind of like the platform this year, like the endgame section. If you're not in it, you could get like points deducted, penalties, something like that to get ready to launch or like protect yourself from like whatever's happening. So the girl on the stream talked about the game being a very fast-paced game, and I agree with that. Like, I felt Power Up was kind of like not slow, but it was a little more laid back. But Steamworks, like you were going, you're trying to get all those gears onto your ship. So I think it'll be somewhat like that, but obviously not entirely sure.
I disagree. I think Power Up was a pretty fast-paced game because
I didn't say it was slow.
you were constantly fighting for control of the switch or the scale with other teams. It's not like in Steamworks, you had your objective, the other team had their objective. You're playing defense sparingly. In Power Up, you're playing defense. You're getting involved with other teams way more than you would in Steamworks.
Okay, let me rephrase. Like when you had like a big lead, like it was hard for the other team to come back.
Yeah.
So then it kind of slowed down. But yeah, I do see what you mean. I misspoke on that.
Also, every game, at least in recent years, has had some kind of end goal. In Steamworks, it was to prepare the ship for flight. In Power Up, it was to defeat the boss. I think this year it's going to be escaping the planet, because there's all this, I guess, rhetoric about how there's this, you're on this planet, stuff's going bad. In the teaser, there's all these alarms going off, and there's doors shutting and all this stuff. And said there's some kind of like urgent mission, I think, or something like that. So I think your whole goal is going to be to escape.
Now, Luke, I disagree with that.
Really?
I think that at the end game of this is going to be to shut the door, to seal away the toxic gases that are obviously coming from where the playing field is going to be.
Indeed.
I think we're going to have to close some sort of thing to, quote, I'm doing quotes, like shut the door and seal away the gas. And the robots will be contained until the toxic gas storm
I
passes.
think there'll be a door to shut.
It'll be something similar
I
to
think
that.
that's actually interesting because maybe instead of a climb this year, because there have been plenty of games where there wasn't a climb, there could be something more like. So I think maybe going off that, both of these theories could work in conjunction. So maybe instead of a climb this year, like there have been plenty of games there weren't climbs. There was some other kind of end game. Like there was one where you had to balance. There's been, I can think of another example, but maybe
the balance one was
maybe your whole goal is to like keep a door shut or something along those lines.
Now, I'm sure Chief Delphi is going to have fun with this theory, but Endgame, we're evacuating because there's a flood, and the game's going to flood. Water game confirmed. Guys, it's happening.
Water game?
Finally.
Wait,
It's about time.
honestly, it is about time.
That'd be too
we
funny,
have
though.
a water game reference in every.
Exactly.
Every
it's
episode.
It's a trademark. So if there's any last comments you got on the FRC teaser?
I'm pretty hyped.
It was pretty
I don't
epic.
know.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to watch it
I
a
think
little
this
bit
was
epic.
the best one that we've been a part of.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Best out of
sticking to the teaser route, WVROX that got released.
That's
I
fun.
was not there for the game announcement.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to talk about that,
So our team hosted a kickoff. It was one of, believe, 4 in Pennsylvania. And the whole premise of the game is, how I understand it, to collect ores and deposit them into your lander. So, Nick, I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about the whole hanging aspect.
I feel like the hanging aspect to FTC, it's kind of like a little FRC climb, and I don't think there's ever been like a little. I don't think there's been a climb in FTC before. I'm probably wrong, but I think that's a first for this year. No pun intended, but I think that I like it. I mean, it's kind of a little challenge. And something else that's new to this year is 42-pound robots. So you actually have a weight limit on, or it's like a smaller weight limit on FTC bots. So
I
that
thought it
was
was larger.
interesting.
I thought it got bigger.
Smaller.
Really?
Yeah.
what was it last year?
I forget.
I don't know.
But I think 42 pounds, it was a big change for teams.
I think it might be bigger because a lot of the teams at our kickoff were very excited about that new limit.
That's
I don't think they would have been too excited if it was smaller.
I don't think so.
that's
We'll have to
FTC is going to be interesting this year for
Yes,
sure.
definitely.
FTC, I feel like it's going to be more interesting to watch at Champs because it's not. I hate to say it, Relic Recovery was kind of a boring game to watch if you weren't driving or if you weren't on that team. I feel like, what's the game called? Rover Ruckus. Rover Ruckus is going to be more fun to watch at the Champs, and it's gonna bring more attention to it and it's going to pull some attention from FRC off of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't really pay too much attention to FTC last year until we found out our friends were at the finals match
Yeah.
in Detroit. But now I'm actually probably going to follow up on it, and that's great news. So jumping a little ways back, we're going to recap WVROX. Obviously, from the last podcast, we highlighted it, gave some predictions, and yeah, so it was a little while ago. We wanted to get this podcast out a little sooner, just scheduling just never really worked out. So yeah, WVROX, 26 hours, 14 minutes.
Yep.
It was rough.
It was.
When I got home, I went to sleep for 18 hours.
Wow.
And I woke up at 3 a.m. and the light in my room was still on. I was just fully clothed. I was exhausted.
I got home, sat down on my bed. I was watching a YouTube video on my phone, and then I got home at 5 p.m. At about 10, my mom walks in my room, and she's like, "What are you doing?" So I'm sleeping on top of my bed with my phone in my hand with some random video playing because of autoplay, fully clothed on top of my covers with my lights on, and like, yeah, it was. And then after that, I think I slept from 5 p.m. till probably noon or 1 the
I
next
slept
day.
I slept from 5 till 11. I was out like
I wish I got that
instantly.
much sleep.
It was
I
great.
didn't do that because when we got back, I had to go somewhere, and then I got home and I got a decent amount of sleep, but it wasn't anything.
I didn't sleep. I slept for about 20 minutes.
I think I got
The whole competition.
I got
yeah.
2 hours from 7 to 9 because
That's
I did
not bad.
I did the night shift.
Yeah. Drive team.
Which that was that was fun.
Yeah, those
Definitely
silent matches.
the silent
That was
matches,
fun.
the light up matches.
Silent matches were the most fun, by the way.
Those were
They
those
were
made
so
me
much fun.
very uncomfortable.
I
And
love
I don't know
those.
why.
Those are my most favorite.
Yeah, they were fun.
Because like you get like the
I
cheers.
got to drive in one of those. Oh my gosh.
What you get like the
was
game
so fun.
sounds, the announcer, and it's just
All you get
so
is
quiet.
all you hear is the robots.
The
moving.
robots.
All you hear
it
is
was
cube
weird.
slamming into the switch. It was a lot of fun.
It was really cool. It was really
The weighted match with the cubes were
that
more
was cool
points.
too.
That
I'm
was
really
definitely
proud with how
cool.
I'm really glad with how that all went.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah,
And-
so
So those alliances, that number one was just
unreal.
overpowered. They didn't. It was. It just the first two picks could have sold. They probably didn't even need 9999. But it was actually pretty impressive that team all the way from China.
Yeah, they built
that-
a robot 3 weeks over the
They
summer.
was
built
2
it.
weeks, yeah.
They
2
built
weeks.
in the summer,
Oh wow, not even
and they were able to be
compete
on.
competitively.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which
that's
is-
impressive.
That's very.
But they were a pretty good exchange bot. They could get
Yeah,
cubes
they were very
consistently.
Yeah,
That's some
because when
good.
like halfway through it, I was talking to some of our other team members, and like there's only 24 teams, so everyone's gonna get picked, and like the number one alliance might suffer from getting because the snake draft, and that like the middle teams might actually have a shot at having the best average of bots, but
Yeah.
nonetheless,
They didn't. It could have just been those two against any other three teams there, and they would
Yeah.
have just destroyed.
It's-
It was insane.
the teams there were just
They were very
incredibly good. It was
Yeah.
an awesome
And
experience.
I think they let their drivers sleep, which was pretty smart. I think.
Yeah, we tried that kind of. We had like
Yeah.
we wanted to get all of our team members a shot, and I think a lot of people did. They were testing younger drivers to see how they would do, seeing like highlighting what they would do next year, getting some more experience. We kind of did that a little bit. Got
We-
everyone a shot to have fun because that's what FRC is about,
Yeah.
just getting that experience.
And we
100%.
actually ended up being a first pick, which we were very surprised about. We were the fifth seed.
Yeah,
Alliance,
I think
yeah.
I don't know. I was sleeping at the time.
Yeah, I believe we were the fifth seed first pick, which was actually pretty surprising, to me at least. So, Nick, do you have anything to add on that?
2022.
So it was about 3 a.m. in the pits, right? So I had my pajamas on at that point, and it was only me in the pit. And then I don't know where everyone else was, but it was only me, and I was waiting for like the 86 match or something, and I fall asleep right in the robot. And then the
What?
dumper,
I
the
don't
dumper
remember this.
comes down on my head. I didn't wake up. I fell asleep in the little electronics bin. Dumper was on my head, and then some random kid from the FAU team woke me up.
I didn't know about. That's awesome.
I'm surprised
So I
the
think my
volunteer didn't
I
come
was
around
so
'cause-
tired.
I
'cause the
think
volunteer
my-
was coming around like
Yeah.
looking for people sleeping in the pits.
I think my favorite memory, it was about 5 in the morning. None of us had slept for 20 hours. And these kids from Children of the Swamp and me and this one other kid from our team, we just sat and drank Monster together and talked about Power Up and about the World Championship for like an hour. It was pretty great.
Yeah, that's an aspect I like about FRC. Not just the WVROX, just in general.
You can talk for everyone has your same interest.
Like
Kind of.
looking back at GPR when we got the alliance pick with Beak Squad and the Thunder Chickens.
Rest in peace.
We had like gone to Beak Squad's pit and we were talking to some of their team.
Their media person.
Yeah, their media
really cool.
lady. She was awesome. I still have the pen. It actually ran out of ink today in history night.
man.
I got really sad, but yeah, I cannot wait to do that again in 2022 or no 2020.
2020,
Sorry,
You
because they
want-
do it's co-annual.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
WVROX.
Biannual,
Biannual.
co-annual.
Yeah,
so
they,
2 times
I
a year.
can only do that once.
That'll
every
probably
few
be our
years.
last
I'm
Yeah.
watching.
competition.
Yeah, because we'll be seniors by then.
We'll be
Graduation
out.
years.
We'll be graduated.
So other things in the first news, districts. So obviously there's the whole regional versus district. Obviously districts are big in the Pacific Northwest, Michigan and Texas.
Georgia.
Georgia's big in
I don't think Texas has
New
a
England.
district.
Texas
Yeah, they do.
not-
It's first in Texas.
Oh, it's fit.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
No, I don't think they have a district.
You
I
sure?
don't believe
No,
so.
I looked it up because I was making a map of where all the
Alright,
districts
that
and
makes sense.
regionals were for the point of why is there one regional in Western Pennsylvania?
Before we get to that, I'd like to bring up the whole Western Pennsylvania becoming
Yeah.
an island of Mar.
Yeah, that's what I want
think-
to talk about first.
I know this has been a little bit of a controversial.
So I have the email up here.
Okay.
If we'd like to talk about that.
I'm just gonna offer my opinion real quick. So
Okay.
basically, what this was a proposition for Western Pennsylvania teams to join the Mid-Atlantic region, which is, what is it? It's Eastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's like
And
the
New
Philly
Jersey.
areas in New
and like
Jersey.
all that. over there. And basically, the reason a lot of teams are against that is because a lot of teams right now, especially in Pennsylvania, due to the lack of STEM funding, especially from the state, they're struggling with their funding. So basically, if they had to travel to Philly for every single regional, a lot of teams, especially in the Western Pennsylvania area, might even have to like stop being teams because
They don't want to do that travel.
they just can't afford to travel that far,
Mm-hmm.
and even they're struggling to travel even a couple hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I think that kind of segues nicely into the question of why does Western PA only have one regional? So, Franco, I think you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, so like obviously there are a lot of teams in the Western Pennsylvania area. I mean, I'm just thinking of a few teams, and there's a lot. Sharp, Goss, Horsepower, us, Knock, Central Catholic, Quasics.
Knock Knights,
Yeah, I said Knock.
Titanium Titans, all
The
those.
Titanium, CIA's in
CIA.
Erie. That's only a 2-hour drive though. So
There's more.
yeah, and that's just like off the top of my head without a list. So it's very shocking that.
And there's also tons of teams just in Eastern Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many around like the Columbus area and stuff like that.
So like what I was thinking of when I was looking at all the different regionals and districts was, what if they made a regional near Erie? And just hear me out on this. You could get the Western Pennsylvania Pittsburgh teams to go to Erie. You could get the Eastern Ohio teams to come to Erie, and the Western New York teams, like the ones near Lake Erie, like the not upstate New York, not the city,
So
but
like Southwest New York.
yeah, Southwest New York, like by Buffalo and Rochester. That would be like ideal.
Yeah.
Especially you could even get some Canada teams to come down.
Oh yeah, for sure. And a bunch of Michigan teams would come as well because that's right there.
Because you know what's happening right now. Every Pittsburgh team's going to Greater Pittsburgh Regional,
And Miami
and
Valley.
then they're going 5 hours to Ohio to go to Miami
5.
Valley.
That's how far away it is.
It's a long.
Wow.
Yeah, it's 5 hours.
I mean, like the only other closest regional to us would be Finger Lakes in Rochester. Like,
That's still a 5-hour drive.
and that's it's like the
Or-
exact same drive, and we're not gonna like going down to the Blue Mountain. Is it the Blue Mountain Regional in Kentucky?
Smoky Mountains.
Smoky Mountains. That's a hike as well. So
That's very far.
for teams like us to struggle, and that's why it was such a scare when MVR and GPR were both week 2
Yeah.
Yeah.
before Pittsburgh switched.
And again, the whole joining MAR, that was another big thing because if we would have had to drive to Philadelphia to go to our district events, that would have definitely put a damper, especially since we don't. It's definitely hard to get a lot of funding.
And just everyday school life. I mean, like missing more days of school for travel. Obviously, that's a very tough commitment for like the parents and teachers and mentors that each team has. So hopefully, we can get more in the Western Pennsylvania area. But
And same with off seasons. There's only one off season. It's only every other year. It's the Steel City Showdown. It's the only one for a long time.
And
I
even
mean,
that's
obviously
biannual. That's
Yeah,
once
that's what I
every
said.
2 years.
It's every other year, and WVROX is only an hour and a half drive, but that's down in West Virginia. That's not in Pennsylvania.
That's not that far, considering if we want to have an Erie regional.
yeah, so there's obviously a lot that can happen over the next years with MAR, whatever that whole district thing. But I've got nothing else, guys.
I still think we should do a WOW district.
I agree.
Western PA, Ohio, West Virginia. That would be. I think there's definitely enough teams. There's already the whole WOW Champs off-season event, and that's every
Just
year.
make WOW a district.
Yeah,
Instead of
if
making
WOW
it
would be a district,
state.
because that would be good. It would be cheap to travel.
There's enough teams
Yeah,
to
there's
support
plenty
it.
of teams. There's a lot of really good teams. So it would be worthwhile with those spots to the championship. So I think it would definitely be a good option.
Yeah, I would.
So-
I definitely agree with that. Keep WOW. Don't make Pennsylvania all under MAR.
Yeah.
Make Eastern Pennsylvania, Mar, and Western Pennsylvania, West Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah, no, West Virginia, or East Ohio, West Virginia. Wow. And if you haven't already, make sure you follow us on Twitter and also the Discord. Both will be in the link down below to get involved and share your thoughts. We'll happily take on any guest stars for future episodes. We haven't been able to get one yet. We're planning that around. Obviously, it's tough, but yeah, if you want to get involved, definitely get involved down in the Discord and the Twitter. And yeah, so that's all I've got. If you guys have anything else to say.
I think that's it.
That's it for me.
So I've been Thomas.
I've been Luke.
And I've been Nick.
And we'll see you in episode 3.